Black Rifle Coffee, baby. Pretty cool.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Good to have you here, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So, what do we had 2 years since the last time we've done one of these?
It's been a minute. I think so. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. I love having you here. So, what have you been up to anyway?
Busy.
What's busy?
Yeah.
What's busy in Nomadic Research land?
So we just started our own podcast about 4 months ago, the Nomadic Research podcast.
Good. First plug out of the way.
Yeah.
But hold on, it'll get better. I promise everybody.
Yeah. First shameless plug right out of the gate. Yeah. We just started that, and I'm having an absolute blast kicking that off. The studio spaces in Dixon, Illinois, and man, it's a riot.
So, Illinois. Do you like it?
I like the area that we're in. I know where you're going with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the area that we're in. Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
100%. It's northwestern Illinois. Super.
I'm gonna start over. My fucking sticker was on the top of my fucking head.
I was gonna say something. I thought you did that on
fuck,
purpose.
I forgot. No, I wasn't doing that. Jeez.
It's like he's rocking that sticker.
We'll just have to fucking. Okay. You good? Okay. All right. Dagan, good to have you back, buddy.
Thanks, brother.
Fucking A, man.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. 2 years?
2 years since the last time. Give or take.
Okay. All right. What have you been up to?
Busy, man. We just started the Nomadic Research podcast, so get that shameless plug out of the way right away.
We'll just knock that right out, but it'll get better, I promise you guys.
Yeah. That's been taking up the majority of my time, and I'm having a lot of fun with the studio spaces in Dixon, Illinois. So that's the northwest rural corner of Illinois.
Okay.
And we're about an hour and a half due west of O'Hare, and it's been a blast so far, man.
Illinois. Why?
Well, it's where I was originally from. Very, very
Right.
close to where my wife and I grew up. So tons of family there. We're kind of entrenched there, right?
Yeah.
Not obviously Illinois is kind of like little California sometime, or California's uglier sister, maybe.
Yeah.
But
like an obese near relative.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't. California is pretty hot. I mean, the way I like to frame up California, not to cut you off, but I was talking about this with one of my hunting guides this year. I was like, California was like a super, like a 10, like a
Yep.
6 foot runway model, like does CrossFit, like just a
Drop
10, drop dead, gorgeous. You meet her, you're like, holy crap, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And then she's like, have you ever heard of Karl Marx?
You're right.
And then you're like, oh, shit. Oh.
I knew there was a catch.
I knew there was a catch. What do you think about, the Workers' Party, United, and you're like, oh, fuck, man. But you're so hot.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I totally get it, man. And we're far enough away, and we're rural enough to where you're away from it. You know what I mean?
Really?
At least you're away from it, on a day-to-day basis.
So you don't really feel the, I don't know, I guess the socialist programming bullshit that goes, No,
not really.
Yeah. I've been out there. I've been to your house, I think, right? Like years ago.
Man.
No.
But you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need to. We'd love to have you. Yeah, we've got some great space. We're on the Rock. We live on the Rock River, which is a nice body of water there, and we've got some great property. And like I said, all the families there, so there's kind of there'd have to be a pretty good reason to leave.
I went out there a few years ago. One of my buddies was doing marketing for Colt. No, one of those like old school 1911-ish. Is it Springfield Armory? Is that out there?
I believe so.
Yeah, there we go. Okay,
yeah,
that's what it was. So we went out there, toured the facility, took a look at it, and it was like the thing I like about the place is it's very green, right? And then once you're out in the rural areas, it looks like decent deer, from what I understand.
Lots of great whitetail.
Right.
Yeah, lots of great whitetail.
You just have to go back to Chicago and or O'Hare in order to deal with, essentially your travel to get in and out of the place. So all in all, I think it's to your point, the rural area is pretty cool.
Sure, and we got a little bit of terrain, which is nice. A lot of especially in kind of the river valley that we're in, a lot of limestone bluffs and things like. So it's picturesque, and like I said, we've fortunate enough to have some nice space there, and obviously we're not concrete.
So is NR Nomadic Research, is this like your full-time gig now?
Yes.
This is what you're doing. You're no longer like doing anything else.
Not really.
So not really.
Yeah, not really.
So how available are you to talk about things that you've done?
I'm pretty available.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool. Right on.
I'm pretty comfortable. Yeah.
You're pretty comfortable even when you're still working in the office talking about a few different things.
Sure.
So when you talk about it, like this is always a thing, right? By the way, this is like some of the uncomfortable pieces of the conversation that we have around talking about the office, because we were talking about it earlier. Like when we're referencing the office, we're talking about the CIA. Like Dagan and I were like, we worked together for years, by the way.
Yep.
We were friends there. We've maintained, a friendship for years. But we were both talking about like we were never like anybody there. Like It's 23,000 people, guys. Like it's a fucking really big organization. And when I say we did cool stuff,
yep,
but where decisions are made,
big difference. How
they make them. Big difference, it's just there's a big difference between the tactical realities of what we do or what we did, and where the strategic decisions are made, often referred to as the seventh floor.
Right.
In loving and in loving disdain, referred to as the seventh floor.
The infamous.
Yeah, the infamous seventh floor, right? And so it's interesting. Because you're here, you can I think we can talk about it a little bit more. And I think that was like one of the things I wanted to get into was like, we got a little bit into it outside, but I want people to kind of like hear your professional evolution and ultimately where you came from,
sure,
where you went. And it can be the Reader's Digest version, but just give them like the 2 cents, man. Like, where'd you come from? What'd you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So grew up in, like I said, that northwestern corner of Illinois, large military family, predominantly Marines.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad did 3 tours, and so it was. I always grew up around like the Marine Corps was just kind of part of my existence, and it was something I wanted to do very, very early on. I did 12 years, touching, the infantry, some of the, special operations, Marine Corps equivalent, cyber reconnaissance jobs. Was very fortunate to serve in those billets. And then after the 12-year mark, I kind of transitioned into where we met. Mm-hmm. And, I was kind of looking at, at the 12-year mark, you're definitely past that halfway point, right?
Right.
And especially in the GWAT. And I wasn't really jazzed about some of the billets and stuff and those higher, or senior enlisted billets, mm-hmm. right? And so the opportunity came to take selection for where we ended up meeting, and luckily I was successful when I did it the first time, and it was 16 years later,
16 years,
yeah,
dude.
It went pretty fast too.
Yeah, and we think about when I first met you, you had black hair.
Right. Yeah. Jet black. Yeah.
Jet black. Yeah. Super curly. Not in some weird sexual fantasy way. I'm just saying, like, it was really dark, and to emphasize it in a very specific way.
And yeah. My even my kids, they point that out. They see old pictures. You know what I mean? And
but if you chop that gray beard out, to be fair, you'd probably take like 15 years off, but you'd be a betrayal to your image. So I think you can't do it. Yeah,
I don't want to do that to the kids. It'd traumatize them. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I know. I grow this stupid mustache a couple times a year, right? And I do it only in the context of like, let's see if I can still grow one.
It looks.
Let's check it out.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. I will take visual compliments from other men and be totally fine with it. I have no problem.
I don't think I could pull it off. You
could pull it off. Yeah. For sure you could pull it off. You don't think so?
I don't know.
Is it just not, like, why? You just don't think you have, like, the lip for it?
I did it, yeah. It's predominantly the lip. Yeah. Yeah. I did it one time when I dressed up as Halloween as my old man. And,
really?
I did the mustache. So I did rock it for about 2 hours, and then obviously I shaved it off. But
And so anyway, flipping back over outside of the quite literally half the fucking audience was like, dude, stop talking about your facial hair. Like, I think I was thinking about this the other day because we were having a conversation years ago. This is like years ago, and I think I remember you talking about you were doing a selection process for the new pistol.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
This was like maybe a 15 or 20 minute conversation that we had in the Ariana Hotel, sitting at one of the tables, having dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever it was. And we're talking about the pistol requirements and what you had kind of done for, I think it was like a year. Was that right? When you were doing
the actual test itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
what was that? Just remind me what that was.
It's such a this story has such a way of kind of creeping in, and it's fantastic because it's one of those stories where it's like, yeah, it's just something that you did. Well, the Marine Corps was selecting a new slide for their 1911.
Right.
And so while I was waiting for my paperwork to go through for selection, it was like, hey, I got to find a job. And so I started working as a contractor for what the Marfor Syscom, or basically like that would be the Navy's version of Crane or, what have you, right? So we would show up to this pistol range, and there was, I want to say, 7 blank slides. And our only function was to shoot thousands of rounds a day. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was 2,000 rounds a day. Brutal, just absolutely brutal. And I had somebody that would load my magazines for me, and then all I had to do was shoot at this target 8, 6, 7 rounds a minute or whatever it was, right? And then call out malfunctions or annotate malfunctions. Basically, shoot them till they break. Right? And I think the grand total ended up being 60,000 rounds, which by day 3, I wanted to take my own life. Right? It sounds rad, you know what I mean? And of course, you're on the free bullet program, but the only thing good that came out of it was obviously my marksmanship standards greatly improved, and that just happened to butt up right next to the selection. So when I showed up to, going through that test, I'm like, man, I want to swallow one of these things. Like, this is brutal, but it paid huge dividends once I showed up to selection. Obviously,
do you remember what slide they went with?
I don't. Yeah, I wasn't around for it.
Who knows?
I wasn't even around for to see who won it. It was brutal, dude. It was absolutely brutal. I mean,
it's like one of those things, right? It's like one piece of chocolate cake is amazing.
Yeah.
When you're forced to eat 6 chocolate cakes
not fun
a day,
you're
like, I fucking hate chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I get it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, to the point to where, and obviously I won't say his name, but the guy that was running, the guy that was running at the time, was like, hey man, do you shoot professionally? And I go, well, that's kind of what this is, right? He goes, no, like in your off time. I go, no, but I did just do this. And he's like, okay, I get it,
Yeah. So because what year did you go through?
09, like late 09.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was JD, right?
He was definitely there.
Yeah. I can't remember who, which ended up like getting like booted and then went to jail later on. For travel voucher fraud or some shit. I can't remember.
In epic fashion.
Whatever, in epic fashion, just fucking totally augured in, which I think is kind of funny and kind of not. But like everybody always thinks that everyone in these organizations is really dressed almost to the point of which we're robotically squared away. And you and I are here to tell there are like living, breathing examples of like, yeah, man, like I went to this Halloween, we threw this Halloween party one year, like years and years ago, right? And I will like fully admit this was a total shit show. I've never told this story, by the way. I've never told this story on the podcast, but this is like 20 years ago now, so I don't give a flying fuck. Like I was a kid, I was having fun, but we were in northern Iraq, in Sulaymaniyah, and we threw this Halloween party. And when you threw a fucking Halloween party in Sulaymaniyah, because remember, there's like a war going on. When I say like, there's a fucking war going on.
No, yeah,
in Sulaymaniyah, to put context to the conversation, Sulaymaniyah was a city in northern Iraq, basically in Kurdistan, where nothing happened. It was very quiet. It was very safe. You could walk downtown. You could go to a restaurant. You could go to the pharmacy. It was a break from the rest of the war.
Right.
And it was not only a break from the rest of the war, it was also a place that you could really cut loose if you wanted to. So in that place, you had a whole, I would say, a laundry list of different services, right? You had you had guys from Delta and, us, guys from the office and guys from the other special missions units, which we don't need to directly reference. But then you also had the British SAS and you had a bunch of other guys. So we threw this big party and it was epic because we had Putty's Pub, which was named after a former Marine that was killed between Sulaymaniyah and Kirkuk just a few months before that. And Muskrat, Tyler, and he dressed up as Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife. So let me just share with you in this. So Tyler is like a 6'2" guy, right? Probably
big dude,
ginger. That's very yoked, right? We yoked. He's a big guy, giant red beard, and he and Trey Straub. Trey dressed up as Dog. Tyler dressed up as Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife. So Trey's got like a leather vest on and a wig.
I can see it.
Tyler's wearing a mini skirt, high heels, like a halter top with makeup and a wig. He like went full out. And mind you, none of us do things in a way that is like just a little bit. If you're going to fucking put your all the way, there's only one pedal on this car. Yep. It's all the way to the right and it goes all the way to the floor. So Tyler got one of the other female case officers to like put makeup on him. Like he went full bore to the point of which you were questioning whether or not this dude was really into this whole thing.
I was going to say, is this your first time? Yeah, is this your first? You're pretty good at this.
But like full beard and it's me. You remember Stripper V Diamond?
Yeah,
of course, right? So it was like me, V, Tyler, Trey, a couple other guys that I think might still be in. So we'll delay their names. So, but I'm dressed up as a case officer. So I have my body armor on the outside of my collared shirt
and backwards.
I exactly. So I've got my body armor is backwards. I'm wearing glasses. I have my passport, my black passport stuffed into the front so it's sticking out.
I love it.
I've got my pants unzipped with the bottom of my shirt pulled out of the fly. Yes. And I'm walking around going, last week Harvard, this week Iraq.
All a term of endearment. It's we love you guys.
We love you guys. Because, jealousy, envy, it drives a lot of negative behaviors. And ultimately it was funny because you'd go to work with some of them, right? And civilian population that has no familiarity with the place, they always think like they're like Jason Bourne, right? They're recruited straight out of Harvard because here's this like elite MMA fighter that also has a high propensity for math and economics and speaks 5 languages. And then all of a sudden they're downrange and they can fly off of buildings and do everything Jason Bourne does. And it's just not true. They have like very high IQs. They're extremely competent intellectually. They can write really well. They're like brilliant people. But like where guys like you and I come in is we are essentially the labor force that allows them to go out and it facilitates their job.
Yeah, facilitates a great way to put it. We'll complex problem solving, facilitation, like let's get this done, and no matter what it is, right? We'll facilitate it, smartly and safely, right? And that was probably one of the most rewarding things about it, right?
Yeah.
Which was, hey, we're going to find a way to say yes. And if you want to take a hot air balloon into God knows where, it just can't be tomorrow.
Yeah.
You got to give us some time to figure it out.
And they're not familiar with these places. Like, a lot of these places, they're the most dangerous places in the world. Mm-hmm. When you're dropped into these places from where you were and what you do, you have to have a facilitation aspect that allows you to go out and understand the environment, so you don't end up in an orange jumpsuit. But Dagan was there much longer than I was, so I'll allow him to facilitate longer. I'll allow you to elaborate after I go back into this Halloween story. So Diamond and I are sitting there with another guy, Chef, and we're watching Tyler continue to get more and more drunk as we're getting more drunk.
Yep,
right?
Here we go.
So no brakes, we tore the emergency handle off. We cut the wires and we just stomped on the right pedal. And now the SAS is here. Everybody's showing up. Everybody's in the bar and things are getting rowdy. And in the context of Tyler is a 6 foot, essentially bearded tranny that is going around grinding on the SAS guys going, I want to get in you, boy, And it's making them extremely uncomfortable, by the way. And they're like, you need to get the fuck away from me. So then, but he keeps coming back because he sees blood in the driving him bananas. So he sees and senses blood in the water. V's looking over at it. I'm looking over at it. We're all kind of looking at each other. The SAS guys are getting really, really agitated. So now we all know what's about ready to transpire. Here we go. Tyler, and this is one of the most iconic images that is seared into my brain for the rest of my life, is watching a 6'2" muscle-bound, red-bearded tranny headbutt an SAS guy in the fucking nose. As it knocks him back to initiate because you don't want to fuck me? Fuck you. Wham. And he just,
my God.
Oh, dude.
I can see it like I was there. I can see it like I was there.
It is the most iconic, one of the most iconic visual things that I've had in my head for fucking 20 years is Tyler grinding up on this guy going, come on, baby. And it's so funny, but he's like, you don't want to fuck me? Fuck you. Boom, and just splits this fucking dude's nose open. So then everybody is fighting.
Yeah,
everybody.
Right.
V is super proficient kickboxer, and I'm pretty sure he kicked this other dude he roundhouse kicked this fucking dude in the head. I'm grabbing a table, and I'm smashing the table.
Weapons of
Everybody is going for it, and then we're fighting our way out of Putty's Pub, which was technically in the bottom, in the front of Suliana or Sulamania. And we end up, the SAS guys get in the car, fuck you. They button it up and drive away. Okay. 2 days later, we got to take, we're having another meeting down there at their place. And we're like, oh man, this is going to be awkward.
It might be, yeah.
This is going to be weird. So we walk in and everybody's kind of got there's a couple black eyes and, just we're kind of all standing around and then one of the SAS guys go, mate, what an epic night. Holy shit, we did it. It was awesome. And they're like, we got to do it again.
Yep.
And we're all going, I don't think so. I think we'll probably all get fired.
Yeah,
right? If that happens again, I know. I'm surprised we didn't get fired, but we covered it all up really well, right? So we cleaned up the bar. We threw away the table that was in a fucking million pieces and
paid off whoever needed to get grease the skids.
Whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite stories from early on. That was super early in the war, right? It's or early in that. It's 2006 probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, it's people. I mean, people just wouldn't believe it. You almost had to be there. You know what I mean? People hear, and some of them even now when I look back, I'm like, did that happen the way I remember it? Was it that bananas? You know, like and you couldn't make it up if you tried. Yeah. You know what I mean? One of the guys I remember, speaking of Halloween parties, and this was at the Ariana, he had fashioned, and you know the guy well, he had fashioned this, they had hung like these decorative bats with like flappable wings. They had like these long, real rigid like pipe cleaners so you could hang them from the ceiling.
Right.
And this guy had fashioned one to his belt in like this up, so that the bat was basically like if he gyrated his hips, the bat would flap, and he was going to every chick in the bar and from a foot away doing the humping motion, but the bat was like flapping in their faces, and we sat back and laughed. Of course, it went over well with some and not well with others, as you can well imagine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, look, we're in Afghanistan, we're in Kabul. We're hammered, and I'm observing this. It
didn't make sense.
Wasn't on my bingo card.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Crazy shit.
Yeah, I remember. God, there's so many. And we might as well. Why not? Who cares? We're here. We're here to tell stories. This is a fucking great podcast because it's like this is what it's all about. But one night, and I can't remember. I think it was. I can't say his name because people. I'm not sure if he's still in the office or not. But so he used to run his fucking mouth. He'd get a couple of beers in him. Mm-hmm. And we all know the guy, right? We all know the guy. Get a couple of beers in him, and then they like to run their mouths. Mm-hmm. And some of these guys are just not tough because there's also this idea. It's a myth and illusion that every soft guy is tough. That is not true. There's a lot of guys that can shoot really well, but they can't fucking fight. And watching them fight at times is almost like watching a teenage girl pillow fight.
Sure.
It's just garbage. By the way, I'm not a proficient fighter either, but I can shoot a pistol, so I don't really need to because I don't expect to go hands-on with the fucking homeless around here, right? Right. I ain't touching anybody with hepatitis. That ain't my fucking bag, baby. So they're out, and he's chirping, right? Running his fucking mouth, and I hope to God, I know V will listen to this because we'll send it to him, but V will remember who it was. I'm pretty sure he was there too. And he's running his fucking mouth.
I know. I know exactly.
They go outside. Yep. There's a SEAL Team 6 dude there, and they go out. Were you there?
I was. Yeah, I wasn't there. I was there the next morning. If that makes sense. Yeah.
He fucking hit that guy outside, and it was one hit. So the guy who was running his mouth was like, "I'm gonna fuck you up." And he's like, "Okay, let's take this outside, big guy. Let's see what you got." They went outside, and it was one hit, and then the guy his head hit the fucking concrete, and I swear to God, I thought the guy was going to bleed out. There was so much because it's a head injury. Right? He fucking hits the ground, and he was fine the next day. He was just walking around, took some Advil, and he was fine. But it looked like the guy might die. It was holy shit.
And wasn't that the same one? Didn't he scream something before?
That was a different guy.
Oh, is this okay? So
Recon, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that one.
Recon. That's another great guy who's fucking awesome too. Which I'm not going to embarrass him, but he went by Hydro, and he was at the airfield. Yeah. So that was the crab. That was a crab, and Hydro is smaller than I am. So I'm a whopping 155, 5'7". I am a fucking Goliath of a human. I'm 3 inches taller than the average Asian female. Everybody knows. Hydro is smaller than me. He's 5'6", maybe 130.
Yeah, not a big dude.
And there is a Goliath of a human being. He's a former Delta support guy who was loading pallets and shit when they were in the bar. And I was there too. God, man. Ugh. And Hydro was running his mouth because that's another thing. Hydro's soaking wet, 145 pounds. This other guy's 225. Hydro's running his mouth. And he went to swing on this giant human and yelled, "Recon!" Yep. And the guy just just jab, just like swatted him away like a fucking fly, and he was out cold.
Yeah.
I think Bucho might have been there
just
too.
dropped him.
Yeah, just dropped him, man.
I laughed so hard because obviously I wasn't there. I showed up the next morning, and I'm like, hey, anything happened last night? You're like, let me tell you. And
let me tell you.
Yeah. The image of him yelling recon and then basically running into that guy's fist, because that guy it'd be like running into, he had cinder blocks for fists, it's no shortage of shenanigans over there whatsoever.
No.
Whatsoever. God, I can remember one night, and you know the deal, right? Everyone needs like going into the bar, that was at your own peril.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was heavily preached, like, hey man, two things are going to get you, right? And one of them's booze, right? As far as getting fired. And it was amazing how some guys just, kind of threw caution to the wind and kind of let loose a little bit, right? Well, we were there one night, and it was early on enough to where I was very, very cautious, very, very well maintained, or at least I think I was. If I wasn't, nobody jerked a knot in my chain. And I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm watching a couple of the guys slowly kind of circle the drain.
Right.
But I'm new enough to where I'm not really going to say anything, right? I'm Nick, the new guy. And one of the guys in particular was a very talented guitar. He would bust out his guitar late at night.
Exactly what you're talking about.
So right, yeah, and he had a circle of female enthusiasts. Not that they were good singers, but they were trying. And one of our guys was literally just kind of ping ponging around, definitely overserved. And once again, I can't make this up. And I just watched it from the couch, and he kind of, does like the Barry Sanders button hook and ends up bumping into one of these females. And he was like, "You sound like a cat," something like, something very derogatory about her singing.
Right.
And she turned around and gave him the Bruce Lee 2-inch hayaka, like to the solar plex, and just dropped him like a wet towel. I mean, just crumpled him on the floor. And this guy was a big dude. You know exactly who it is. And I was like, oh, shit. And me and that guy had to do an op the next day, which was bitching. That obviously was my cue to exit, stage right. I was like, operators getting dropped by chicks, it's time to leave.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Yeah, the next morning was he was hurting the next morning on multiple fronts, obviously. Yeah, you can't make that shit up.
You can't. I think it's funny because also Hollywood and or other people, they make it assume, or they make the war appear as if it's always war all the time, right? And it's like, that's just not the case. It isn't the case. You have a lot of fucking time, especially when you have lots of things to do, and depending on your job, you have a lot of things to do where it's just not that cool, man. It's like vehicle maintenance. Right?
Yeah, mundane, just everyday tasks.
Yeah, man, it's like mundane, everyday tasks. Like people don't, you never see that in the Terminalist series where, well, yeah, we just got this tick. Well, now let's go back and do inventory.
Yeah, and make sure that you're going to fill the truck back up with
next
gas.
episode, inventory. Where did the 40 millimeters go? Where are all the grenades that might have been here in the last deployment, right? And it's like, it's so funny because all of the movement back and forth between a lot of these places, it requires a significant amount of logistics and planning, 100%. Which is most of what happens, right? It's like moving back and forth, which is basically a transportation problem with a logistics problem associated with it. And there's also a bunch of time where it's just like unfiltered, unrestricted, complete jackassery.
Yeah.
Where you're not engaged in a high stress or combat scenario, and you're just fucking around.
Yeah,
because
it's like 8th grade
you're human.
Guns.
Yeah.
Highly volatile with the potential for extreme violence. 8th graders with guns. Yeah, myself included.
Well, I'll put myself in that bucket. Right? It's like I was talking to my buddies about this weekend. We're talking about before I became a father, I wasn't really a man.
Fair.
I was a man-child, but becoming a father and then having the additional responsibilities and the duty as far as the living for someone else beside yourself, it's almost as if that's the finishing school to becoming a man.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And
if you do it even halfway well.
Yeah.
Right.
If you take the job and the responsibility very seriously, which is a duty, right? It's like, hey, it's not only your duty as the title will dictate, which is father, but it's also your emotional, I think, and physiological responsibility because you don't really have a choice. I think your DNA forces you into a position of duty. And then I think if you layer in the additional learnings that we've had from the military and in the way that we understand, I think, duty differently than some of our other peers, you take it really very serious. But before that, you're kind of fucking around.
Yeah, hee-haw and the fuck around gang. For sure.
Yeah. Can you imagine, right? Like you have like way older kids than I do, but I would load up a weekend and just do whatever the hell I wanted to do. That never happens.
Yeah, right.
Like, when was the last time you loaded up a 3 days in your time gun and just shot it into the sky, doing nothing?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why, believe it or not, that's one of the reasons why I left.
Yeah.
Was my oldest, who's 20, she tells her story on the podcast. She and I felt like she deserved it. She had earned it. She needed it. I was gone for all of it. So all duty, responsibility, like I was gone for all of it, and so that was a huge deciding factor because I have two younger ones.
Right.
And I was like, well, obviously that rounds down range. I made decisions. I did what I did. I have a chance to course correct, and so that was the feel good aspect of leaving there. Like, hey, I'm leaving for the right reasons, right?
But you also had a badass wife, right? Which I think
that helps. Yeah, she's legit.
Like the guys that choose unwisely in regards to their partner. Where she was in the Marine Corps too, right?
She was, 14 years in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. You kind of had a badass partner in that endeavor that was committed.
Yeah, she's the shit. And she did a fantastic job of keeping me in the forefront, even though I was gone, constantly. 90-30s, I mean, you did it, 90-30s, and even for that first, even before the organization, Okinawa, my last duty station, 2 years unaccompanied or whatever. But Jen did a really good job of keeping my name and kind of me in the conversation on a daily basis. So obviously I'm eternally grateful for that because that could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah. We see it too, right? I think.
Oh, geez.
We've seen the cited examples in our peers throughout the last several decades, I would say, where their wives haven't necessarily kept them in the forefront. They get distant from their families, and ultimately that wreaks havoc on individual psychology.
Sure.
Divorce rates are through the roof. Through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
And then you add in a little bit of alcohol in that, maybe a TBI on top of it, and all of a sudden you're kind of in a quandary.
Yeah, it's almost an unwinnable, right?
Yeah.
We are definitely the anomaly. We talk about this all the time, for better or for worse, right? Like, I'm like, were we just too stupid to quit? Thank God we were, because the opportunities were definitely there. And I'm obviously grateful it worked out the way it worked out.
Yeah, I think, to shift into other things where, the things I'm internally grateful for, it's one, the opportunities, and people can say whatever they want to about the war, right? because individually it was in our lives and we can't change that.
Mm-hmm.
We did what we did. We made the decisions that we made. And ultimately, I think a lot of those were right. Whether or not I agree with the strategic principles of it, I'm not here to fucking talk about that, because that's a quagmire of negativity. And ultimately, I think a lot of people we've talked about that too. But it did teach me a lot of different things about life that I've carried forward into every aspect of my life, whether it's fatherhood or running a business or being a partner for my wife. Like and a lot of the guys, whether or not they knew it or not, they were really good examples in so many different ways, because they were really good examples as to the men that I wanted, the type of man that I wanted to be. They were also good examples as to the type of man that I didn't want to be.
Without a doubt. Yeah, 1,000%.
And you could see being around a bunch of type A men in a professional environment for extended periods of time and being competitive.
Yep.
You couldn't help but look around and say, I want to be like that guy, or I don't want to be like that guy. And if you're younger when you enter it, it helps a lot. I remember distinctly, like my ODA was passed out to Ground Branch very early on the invasion. And I remember these guys were old, right?
Yeah, or at least appeared to be considerably older than you.
They were our age.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Basically. And they were very... almost warrior poet, stoic types, where they didn't talk a lot, but when they did talk, their words carried weight. It was almost as if you had stone tablets of tactical technology handed down, where when they were discussing an operation or something that we needed to just go do, everybody just shut up and listen, as if you're you're listening to a Buddha or some, for a lack of a better term. And
these guys have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and I think that was like one of the things I'll be eternally grateful is some of these individuals that we were in and around that were much older than us, that had been doing this job for so long, had so much wisdom.
Yeah.
And there were also examples to, like, the guy's a fucking idiot. Like, where you're like, man, I don't want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I worked with this guy for a few years, and one, he was just a fucking asshole. Like, he was just an asshole. Like, he was just there's a fair amount, right? He's chain smoking, never lifted a weight or worked out a day in his life. Like, OG, former MACV SOG guy, went over to the agency, and he's kind of an iconic guy there. And he was a dick for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to be nice. But you did have to keep some type of level of professionalism when trying to, like, get things done. And he was just a dick for no reason. Like, you're like, boy, I don't want to be like that guy, man.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would suspect that guy isn't around anymore, just based on the amount of just the volume of cigarettes that he was smoking on a daily basis. Right? I don't think he could have kept that up by much longer.
Yeah, the bill's going to come on that eventually.
Yeah. And he looked old. 15 years ago, that guy looked like, and he was. I mean, 15 years ago, he was old. So I was like, man, I don't want to be like that guy. Like,
yeah, I can attest. I mean, I showed up, I think I was 28. And in fact, when I went through selection, that was one of the first things, because I was scared shitless at selection because I needed the job, right? And the guy running it came walking in, and he was like, he just singled me out. He goes, "We're going to have to figure out if you're even old enough to be here." And I was like, oh, fuck, man, here we go.
Really?
Day one. Yeah, oh, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, he was he could have been just fucking with me, but I was
Right.
like, I wasn't aware that there was an age limit, but I was young.
Yeah.
You know, I was young, and I was definitely one of the youngest guys when I got over to the team room. And to your point, that epiphany, very, very quickly, I was like, okay, this is like having a crystal ball. Like, I can almost see into the future if I both good path and, you know, not so good path, depending on who you're looking at.
Right.
So it was very, very fortunate to have that mentorship just due to proximity in a good and a bad way, right? And obviously, you know, whether it was finances or how they handle whatever, you know what I'm saying, operationally, like how people act operationally, how they go about their day to day, you know what I mean? And just the best group of dudes, even the guys that, you know, maybe you wouldn't pick, you know what I'm saying? Still some pretty high caliber guys, right? So yeah, I always look back, and that's one of the things that I feel very fortunate to have that exposure to that many different people from that many different kind of backgrounds, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm eternally grateful for my time there, and I'm also glad that it's over.
Yeah. Like I always look back on it with like a high amount of gratitude, like, because it also made me extremely impatient to start a new life outside of that. And you know, I literally just got a text from Bugsy. Like I literally just like as we're walking in here, this like, you know, so it's like some of these guys I'll be friends with the day that I die.
Oh,
like
sure.
Like I'm not ever going to not be friends with some of these guys because they're like just literally through countless hours of just whether it was operationally significant or not, it was just like getting to know people in the most intimate of ways, not like in a, you know, sensual or sexual way, but like when you're living in a fucking shipping container in the middle of nowhere and you're trying to solve a problem.
You get tight.
Yeah. And like, that's one of the things that I'm like, I will always be grateful for, because you actually know what a real friend looks like and feels like and how to communicate with them. And I don't think at times, I know this, you can't build that type of a relationship playing golf with a guy on the weekend.
It's just not, it's apples and oranges. It's not the same.
It's not the same, man.
Yeah, it's really not. And there's nothing wrong with that relationship. It's just, they're two different things.
Very different.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was the impetus of Nomadic Research to slide that in there. I mean, that was Matt and I doing countless trips together. And him being a mentor to me, you know, he had been there for quite some time. And so that kind of seamless relationship just carried on over to the business when we started it.
Yeah, he's always been that guy that you know, and I, you know, we've obviously known each other for, you know, years at this point, but he's always the guy, especially then, where he was never spun up, right? Just implacable. Just
real hard to get a rise. Yeah.
You know, and that calm demeanor, and you know, one of the things is psychology is more infectious than the flu. Like having somebody there that keeps all the animals in line, where they can speak with authority and logic, they can help solve a problem, he can facilitate the best ideas. Like he is, in that circumstance, when I say he was a great guy to work with.
Yep.
Like great guy to work with, because he never got too fucking spun up about shit.
No, not at all. Even when I would get spun up in a good or a bad way, right?
Yeah.
You know, he was. Yeah, he had that effect. You know, I'd be getting super excited about something, whether it was happy and he'd just be like, chill out. You know, like, all right, cool. I'm sorry. I'm having an anxiety attack. I apologize.
Yeah, because you and I have like very similar personality traits in that regard, right? Where like I get really animated, like really fast. You get really animated really fast into different and not necessarily, you know, like not necessarily negative ways, but we can get pretty fucking hot like real fast. And happy real fast,
Yeah.
right? So he can be like super happy and spun up, and we can also get like pretty fucking mad real fast.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, like you just run a little bit hot.
Yep.
And you needed those guys. I think Sachs was another one of those dudes, right? Where he's just like
just
constant stoic.
flatline all the
Yeah,
time. Yeah. And you would look at it. I would look at him. I mean, it's almost like looking at a crew chief. Like, we don't get excited until the crew chief starts getting excited, right? Like, if I was going to get excited, I'd look over and see what's at. You know what I mean? And like, oh, okay, we're not excited.
Yeah, and to put things into perspective, right? The two guys that we're talking about, right? They're kind of older. They were a bit older than us, in maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they came before us. They were SEALs, which isn't a direct or telling indicator to the capabilities of the operator. By the way, it's just so happened to be those two guys.
That's where they came from.
Yeah, and Sachs was like a mountain man, right? I mean, like full on mountain man, like live in the middle of what was it, Maine?
Yep.
Yeah, and he would
Carved out of wood, literally carved out of wood.
Yeah. So he's like living the wilderness mountain man life. Like he would go out in a canoe and trap and live in the mountains, and then go back doing the job.
Yeah.
So he's living in silence basically, and then going back, and a fairly introverted, quiet guy.
Quiet guy. Yeah. Very quiet guy.
But just calm as the calmest lake with no movement in the water, which just imagine a personality of a guy that holds the weight of a giant lake with not a ripple in it.
Yeah.
That was him.
And I have to tell this story because, speaking of funny stories with Sachs, we were doing vehicle checks you're going to love this. We were doing vehicle checks one morning, both him and I. So quickie saws and counting and inventory and whatever. I remember the clearing barrel was right there next to the fountain there at the hotel.
Yeah.
And how often did we find entertainment by watching some of the the clearing barrel was a challenge, was a crucible for some of the people that weren't us, right? And one particular morning, Sachs and I were doing the vehicle checks, and this individual came over and. He was having a real rough time at that clearing barrel. And I kind of motioned, I kind of elbowed Sachs, and I was like, hey, check, we got a hot one. Like, this guy's fighting for his life over here at this clearing barrel. So we're, legit, dude, the guy's he's having a moment. And he sees us, like, watching him.
So a clearing barrel, for those of you that don't know, is like, so it's a place, it's a point, an entry into the hotel. So you're like coming off the road, getting out of your vehicles, you clear your guns and make them safe, and you can go into the hotel. Everybody goes through it for the most part.
Yeah.
And it sits right outside of the entry to
Big red barrel.
Yeah. Big red barrel. Can't miss it. A bunch of guys have to go through it in the context of like they're entering in the facility, right?
Right. Make that weapon safe, right? Well, the guy finally figures it out, whether ejecting the rounds, but he came over because he saw us watching him do it, And he's like, gentlemen, we're like, hey, good morning, what's happening? He goes, I couldn't help but notice that you noticed I was having some issues over there. He goes, we're like, yeah, we saw that. And he goes, well, I think there's something wrong with this ammo. And without skipping a beat, without cracking a smile, without anything, Sachs grabbed that magazine. He goes, let me see it. He grabbed the magazine and he went, and he sniffed it. And he goes, nah, man, that's fresh ammo. And he gave it back to the guy. And my jaw, that dude is walking around to this day, sniffing everyone's magazines. You know what I'm saying? And Sachs was just his stoic self.
Yeah.
I never would have thought to do that, right? Like, I'm kind of, and they go, oh, thanks, guys. And off he went. You know what I mean? And I don't know who he was or what he did. And I don't think I ever even saw him again. But that was Sachs. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, man. It's fresh ammo. I can see it.
Yeah. Big old sniff. Like it was like he was checking his, I don't know what, and fresh fruit. You know what I mean? A gallon of milk. Nah, you're fine. This is good. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know what he's up to now, but I hope he's well.
I know, right? A lot of these guys, like, I hope they've met and exceeded every expectation they've had in life, because like that time in my life there with those guys, like I look back with a profound amount of like happiness in the context of like the guys were funny, man. Like their personalities were fucking super quirky.
What a cast.
And they were like, yeah, it was just like a general cast of like lunatics. And so it's funny because we know of each other in a very different way than like I would say civilians would typically look at that. They would say, oh, what a bunch of serious characters. Like, they're almost like robotic. I'm like, whoa, that is not. You pop the hood on that thing. And that is a different show. Like when you actually see what's going on, it's super fucking funny. And like that like time frame of those people. And I remember like so many distinctly different things that I won't necessarily talk about all of them here, but it's funny because we were there and there was a guy that worked there, and I'm almost positive he's since passed because he would be so old. And he had hair plugs, and he looked like he was 100 years old. I think we called him Skeletor. I'm not sure. But he had hair plugs, and he had like a few hair plugs left in the back of his head. You remember that dude?
I don't.
And then he combed it all the way over his head, and he had like 4 hairs that were still hair plugs, and those were the 4 hairs that motherfucker was holding on to for the rest of his life, right?
I don't think I knew him.
And they were like black and they were all in a row, so I knew that they were hair plugs, and they like went over his head, and there was like 4 of them, but he was so proud of those. And you would look at the guy and you were like, oh my gosh, why is this guy, 1, why is he here? And 2, like, my God, this guy must be like the most incompetent person, and he's so old. And I'm talking to him one night, and I was like, oh, when did you first, come to the company or whatever? And he's like, well, my first, and he's old. Like this guy looked like he was 70, 80 years old. And he was a contractor working down there. And he's like, well, my first thing I ever did was this thing in South America. You might know it as the Bay of Pigs.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, what? Like, I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, really?
Was he legit?
He was legit.
Wow.
He worked upstairs, right? Like,
sure.
he was one of the dudes, worked upstairs. He was a fucking second lieutenant.
Oh,
assigned
wow.
to the fucking dudes, working with, the Cuban exiles, training them in like Florida and Mississippi, all over the South, to go essentially try to overthrow Cuba. This was the first thing that he ever did.
Amazing.
And you could have a conversation, and this was one of the most interesting things that you could do there is, depending on who was there, and all the older guys that were there that came back as contractors after 9/11, I would always sit down next to those guys and like talk to them and just figure out like where were you guys at before? Why are you here, or how did you get here? And all of those guys had this walking, breathing encyclopedia of covert action history.
Yeah.
And you could talk to them about what exactly they were doing, and it was incredible because I could get a firsthand account of what was happening in the train up to the Bay of Pigs in one conversation, and then I could flip over 3 days later in the dining hall and have another conversation with a guy that was running on the Phoenix program in Vietnam, and then 3 days later talk to another guy that was in the Sandinista, Contra, the whole South American counter communist pushback, and he would be explaining to me what they were doing in South America. And in 2 weeks, you could have 10 conversations with people around what was happening in the 1950s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, and
truth behind the curtain.
And it wasn't. These weren't fish stories from the bar. You're in the Ariana Hotel. These guys have been working in this organization for like 40 years. And they're all sitting there. Like those, you remember, they used to hang out together.
Yeah.
And they were all sitting there. So you would have 4 guys that had been working there at one point in time, and you could talk to the former chief, like the former chief of like Special Activities Division that like left in 1983 about what they were doing and where they were. Like I would sit down and have guys tell me about what it was like to fight Cubans in Angola.
Crazy shit.
What?
Right? Yeah.
Like mind-blowing. These are not the stories that you can't even read about these in books. Like nobody's fucking written books about this stuff.
Very unique access. Very unique access to that type of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to like, my dream was to like truly sit down and compile a real history. Of course, they would never do it because they're also like very, they're still compartmentalized, right? Like they're
outside
still
of that
like,
environment,
no way. Outside of
yeah.
that environment, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
There's no way, right? And it was like I would just sit there and try to memorize every word they would say because you can't go to the library. You can't order this on Amazon. You can't read about this anywhere, but you can sit across the table from a guy that literally was on the Phoenix program working for, Bill Colby, the future director of the agency, going like talking to him specifically about what it was like to be on the ground in Vietnam. Oh, like, in Dien Bien Phu or in these different places that are these iconic moments. Like what was the fall of Saigon like? You could talk to a guy that was fucking there.
Yeah, Bill was there.
Yeah, Bill was there.
Yeah.
Ask him what it was
Yeah.
like, man. That was crazy, like holy shit. And you're like, whoa, this is not, you don't feel like it's even happening, and you don't feel that you should. You don't even feel like you should be talking about it at times. Like you don't feel like you should even have access. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but you can't help yourself, right? Because for guys like us, and I'm very much the same way. Like, tell me what that was like, right? Like, no fucking way you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And very, very fortunate to have access, right?
God.
Yeah. It's just like going through the museum. Like I was just going through the museum at headquarters a couple months ago. The amount of history, right, that you were either took part of or had direct access to, like you're referencing. Very, very fortunate.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, very fortunate.
Yeah. And like to be part of, to get a front row seat in history and be participating in it and be able to see what's happening in real time. And that's something I will literally always be grateful for. And then hearing nothing from a personality, like the people that were involved in their ages and their time frames at that part of their lives, they were no different, right? They were no different than us.
Yeah.
We're all like kind of cut from the same cloth, and they were fucking characters, man. Like, and I think that's like one of the things that I've like always kind of looked back on and like cherished those things about that time, where you're like, not only the fact that a lot of the work was really interesting and like very complex and, for a litany of different reasons, it was like, fuck man, like at the Ariana Hotel in Kabul, or I'm at, where Firebase X, and you're like, you got a front row seat as to what's going on.
Sure.
Whether or not you agree with it or not, you're still there.
Yeah, without a doubt. In the brilliance, right? Like some of the brilliance and the in the daringness, like the just, I don't want to say throwing caution to the wind, but like some of the shit that they were willing to do. I didn't, tell me if you agree or disagree. Like that was kind of one of the things where, you read the history books. How accurate they are, who knows? You know what I mean? But you read the history books, and then you get there, and it's like, well, back in the day, we used to do some crazy shit, and maybe it was hard to realize we were doing crazy shit because we were in the middle of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But some of the things that were accomplished, you're like, holy fuck, man, that is badass.
It's badass. Like, it's some of this stuff, like, I would never discuss on a podcast, but like some of it is just like uniquely weird and interesting. Like I was having this conversation with a guy and he was like, well, we were waiting on a shipment of ammo. We found this like encampment somewhere. We didn't really have anything. So they loaded up one of those like old L100s, which is like basically a short version of the C-130 with a back ramp. And he was loading cows on the back of it so he could drop it on top of the camps to try to kill these guys. I'm like, so you're throwing cows out of the back of a fucking L100? And he's like, yeah. I figured we could make a dent in it, you know.
Like, better than nothing. Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Just dropping livestock.
So where are you at in your tactical repertoire where you're like, I don't know, we don't have anything, but we got these cows and we got an L100.
Those bovines over there.
If we throw them out of the back of an airplane, I think we might be able to take a dent out of that camp down there.
I didn't have that on my bingo card. Yeah, I don't know that I would have thought of that.
No. Yeah, I don't think I would have either. I don't know. Load those cows up. Let's take a look at that. Let's see if that does anything.
Jesus Christ.
I know, right? I'm like, oh my God, man. It's so much fun.
Looking back on it, right? It's because we're getting super nostalgic. Like looking back on it, like I don't want to say I wished I paid more attention, but it was almost like I wish I would have journaled, or I wish I would have it was just there was so much happening every day that it was almost kind of hard to keep track of. You know, and like I got cornered the other day where the guy was like, tell me some stories. You know,
I know,
like, and I went, it's like where to begin? You know what I mean? Like you kind of got to box me in a little bit, like specific times or specific things, right? And because otherwise it was just every day was, like you said, kind of a front row seat to holy shit, you know, but it was normal.
That was normal.
So you didn't, maybe you didn't pay as much of attention, or maybe I didn't pay as much of attention to it as maybe I should. That's just Tuesday. Mm-hmm. You know, we were having that conversation years ago when Matt and I first came out here. And you're like, man, like an everyday Tuesday to us, you know, reads like a novel, you know, or could.
Well, like we used to say, right? It's like a milk run.
Yeah.
That would give a lot of people cardiac arrest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, that's just a milk run.
To us, it's a milk run.
Yeah, it's a milk run.
Yeah.
No, whatever.
No big
it's
deal.
A milk run. And it's not even like, you know, I've had to explain this to people too, where I'm like, guys, it's not some weird flex, right? That's not what I'm getting at. It's like, no, we're just trying to put things into context as to you can acclimate yourself to an environment over the course of repetition and time to the point of which seemingly big things are like relatively small. And then what happens is then you start to just forget.
Mm-hmm.
You just forget things. And people will bring them up. They're like, you remember that time? I'm like, oh, yeah, fuck, I totally forgot about
Without
that.
a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah, I was there for that.
You know, then you start to remember like where the selective memory in the context of being able to just remember the good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting how your mind starts to filter those things out, and you're like, oh, that was funny, or that was good, or this was that. And I was talking to somebody, you know, obviously you were in training for a long time too. So I thought when I start to like unpack training to guys, they're like, you guys would do that? I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, that was like one of the things we used to do. And it was just like another day, right? Where you're like, hey, you're going to load up, you know, paint and be in some munitions, and you're going to be in, you know, group of fucking complex problem solving, right? It's complex problem solving, split decision making with munitions, real time, and you've got to like solve the problem, physically react, not lose your cool, and do the right thing all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like within the system, and there was room for error, but not an egregious amount of room for error. But like some of the things that we would do were very unique to that mission.
Yes.
But then they were way ahead of where a lot of the military units were at that time. Like, you know, one-man stuff, nobody did it, right?
Sure.
Fucking nobody did it.
Yeah, cardinal sin almost.
Yeah. But we would do one-man shit all the time.
Yep.
Like, and like where you would be extremely comfortable doing things as one dude. And it's funny because it's not as if other people couldn't do it. They just didn't train to that standard.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really hard psychologically to get people to flip out of full unit into, no, you have 2 guys.
Yep.
Go solve this 15,000 square foot complex fucking problem. You got 2 guys.
Yeah. And people almost can't, right, to your point, people, so I do a little training and stuff on the side, right? And that is, to your point, 1,000%, where guys that are used to having that ass of a stack or a unit, I mean, they really can't comprehend. And you have to, like you said, you have to put in, like, listen, guys, I'm not saying this is the way and this is the preferred method because it's better than yours. This is what I'm forced into doing just because of how we operate, right? This is the best way that this can be accomplished in this context. God, I would love to have more people. I would give anything to have more people, but that's not how we work. And so after, over the course of 20 years, we have kind of figured out the best way to, I don't want to say grab the cleanest dirty shirt, you know what I mean? But, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
And then once you kind of get them, hey, just try it. You know what I'm saying? Just and hopefully you never find yourself in this scenario, but it is possible.
I used to always like open up with that. With my joke for this was like I'd open up and be like, listen, guys, it's a lot like this, which is kissing your uncle. When he first does it, it's really uncomfortable and weird. But after a while, you get used to it and kind of like it. And then they're like, oh. But that's like, foot stomp, instructor at the head of the table, open with a joke, break the fucking ice, and then see also, okay, who did that really rattle? And if they really got rattled with it, great.
Yeah.
Because here comes the real fun, motherfucker.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You're gonna have a great 3 weeks here, man, because I'm going to...
If that one bothered you, stay tuned.
Ooh, yeah, stay tuned. You're going to love the rest of this rhetoric, my friend. You're going to love this.
And you did training for a while. Like, one of the conversations that I had with one of the guys, and he had just come on. I'd been there for a while. And it's so... And tell me if you agree with this. It's such a different process teaching or instructing your peers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Where this particular instructor and I, who I'm a dear, a big fan, dear friend, he's like, I'm a coach. He says, my background is in coaching. Like, and I'm like, hey man, that's when you have some kind of, in my opinion, the world according to me, you have some space in between, whether it's time, age, experience. Like, I'm going to give you the answer. Here's the 2 + 2 = 4 answer, and then monkey see, monkey do. I want to see, and I'm going to evaluate how you take that instruction. I go, but with peers here, and a lot of these guys are same age, older, more experienced. I go, this is more like a college professor, or where I'm giving you limited information to elicit a response, and then I kind of want to see what that response is, and then if we have to tweak, we will. And he goes, well. Then they run the risk of doing it wrong. And I was like, you have to let them fail. I go, once you let them fail, or they fail, because that's the number one thing guys like us don't want to do is fail. If they fail, now you have their undivided attention, right? And then we can go back to like that coaching and that mentorship and so on and so forth that you and I take too, depending on what course it is that we're going through, right? Like every time you show up to training, someone's teaching someone. Right? Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to know, like, you had to have developed a philosophy over the years, like the philosophy of training, according to, Dagan, right? So, take me through that, like your lessons learned, because, I mean, dude, you've been in the fucking chair, like, a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've been on the block, like, not like the neighborhood block. I'm like, no, on the instructor block. Like, dude, you've been out there doing shit for a long time. You had to have built a stable of information in your head around, like, what are the keys to success of just.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, I mean, we kind of. It also kind of depends on what you're teaching, right? If it's a tactile skill, then teach it, touch it, do it. Crawl, walk, run. All the kind of the the analogies, the ditties, right? And then it's repetition. But when it's theory or there is no kind of 2 + 2 = 4 answer, then we would have to. It was more of a thought process. So I'm going to give you, we're going to give the students and ourselves as well, the ingredients to the cake, right? And depending on what you do with those ingredients, you might get three different cakes out of the batch, so to speak. And there's going to be pros and cons to all of them. And so that was the hardest thing for us to do, was to change the guy's kind of thought process or mindset. If this, then that, or very, very SOP driven, right? And in this context that we were teaching, like, hey man, there are no SOPs. You just have a series of principles, right? That should guide your thought process, right? And that was that kind of probably sounds like a shitty answer, but it was like a very long thought exercise with every single student kind of doing it differently, and then we had this huge database of ways to do things, right? So it was a very creative space, right? With most of the guys coming from a military background, the hardest thing was to break them out of that SOP mindset, right? Now, obviously, the teeth are going to need to come out if the teeth need to come out, and we fall back to those SOPs that got us to the table in the first place. But it was you need to open up your aperture, right, and stop thinking about it like who you are and where you came from, and start thinking about it like where we're trying to go and who we're trying to be, if that makes sense, right? Which was a big paradigm shift from, the places we were used to working versus the places where we were trying to send guys to go. Right.
Well, it's also interesting to me because it was a melting pot of different services. And like, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about, like, what did you learn about running a selection process with multiple different services and branches associated with people coming in, right? Like, what were your takeaways from that?
Well, we did a lot of things wrong. We did a lot of things wrong. It's funny looking back on things, decisions that were made at the time, and I think this is true in a lot of aspects. Decisions that we were concrete on at the time. And not doing anything in a vacuum, like doing theoretically all the right things, like murder boarding and getting outside input, like, hey, keep us, check your ego at the door. That was the biggest thing. Like, hey, no egos here, right? Like, amateurs want attaboys, professionals want critiques.
Right.
Don't tell me what I did right, tell me what I did wrong. And that was, something we kind of tried to beat into each other's heads. And things that we did in the beginning that we thought, oh, this is a grand slam home run. Come to find out as time goes by, like, oh, fuck, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Like the second and third order effects of those seemingly good decisions. And so I would say the biggest takeaway, I think, from that time was don't get married to anything. The results are going to, in a reverse algorithm, if the results are positive, then the process is positive. We're doing it right. If the end product is, if we're unhappy with the end product, the only people to fault is us. We're the cadre, right? And not saying that there's obviously some individual responsibility of that particular student. Like, he's got to be trainable, coachable, have a good attitude and an open mind. But we need to look at ourselves first as a cadre if we don't like the end product, and then start to reevaluate the process. How did we get from point A to point B? And it was educational, man. It was definitely educational. And having all those different, like you said, guys from different backgrounds and gals from different backgrounds, I would say, and it sounds cliche, but I mean it when I say it, like the student body taught us as much as we taught them, right? Very, very fortunate to have integration with some of the people that we'll call backseaters, and they changed my entire outlook on everything. Like we talked about it earlier in the lobby. Like I thought I knew what was going on. Turns out I didn't know shit. Right. And the only thing now I know for sure at 45 years of age is the only thing I know for sure is that I don't know shit.
I think that's actually a really important point, right? Where as we look back and like, especially for me, right? I look back and I'm like, man, I didn't really know shit, right?
Yeah.
And the ego, and I was having this conversation with somebody else. Like the ego is the most expensive, your most expensive thing that you will carry, because it costs you more than anything else in your life. And I'll be the first to admit, man, I made tons of fucking mistakes, and most of those mistakes were always around thinking I was right.
Yeah.
And then running my mouth.
Yeah, me too.
Like
100%.
Dude, like, and when you look back, right, you're like, oh, and it's not like we're looking back in the aisles of history. It's like I'm trying to, like, give people just food for thought in the context of once you've, what is that thing? It's like this scene probably from a movie or something. It's like, how do you make God laugh? It's like, come up with a plan. And, it's like, it's a kind of like the same thing with an ego associated with any community, any profession. When you think you've got it all fucking figured out and you think that you're 100% like, this is the right way and this is exactly what we're going to do. And more importantly, like, there were times in my life when I did not have to be such an asshole. Like,
sure.
Like, I did not have to be such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I could have like taken a step back, assessed the problem, kept my mouth shut, thought through it a little bit more, and then got more collective buy-in, which is, by the way, leadership, in the context of, I didn't have to be so aggressive in my pursuit of being right and take everything so personal.
And it's hard, right? Because that ego is what got you there to begin with, right? I don't think you can go through the processes that we've gone through without having a fair amount. I mean,
of course.
I used to tell the guys all the time on one particular, I'm like, hey, everyone in here's got a T-shirt collection, myself included. Toughest thing on two legs, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm super proud of it. I go, but that T-shirt collection, that's basically our egos. That T-shirt collection can get you in deep shit. You have to be willing to admit or really come to terms with you may not have the answer, or the answer that you come up with could be wrong.
Oh yeah, and by the way, it continues. So even in the business, the last 11 years, to be fair, I think most people know this by now. Like, I got fired, and I'm okay with that, right? I know that, and that was great, actually. You know why? Because what it did is it took me a lot of introspection to figure out exactly where I went wrong.
Sure.
What were the things that were like leading me down this path in the context of like, hey, I just lost my job. This was also my identity at the agency. This is like my peer group.
Yep.
These are my people, and now I'm no longer welcome back. Okay, crushing, dude, crushing. Like,
I remember talking to you,
bro.
Yeah,
like it was a huge open wound, right? It didn't knock me on my ass. It was like it fucking like knocked me out. And I personally, it was the single best thing in my life that could have ever happened, because when you're on a rocket ship and you're fueled by your own ego in that context, and you're right, everybody else is fucking wrong. What you're doing is you're basically setting yourself up for a giant fucking explosion. That's what you're doing.
Big fall.
Yeah. And I'm super thankful for the friends I have over there. I'm most thankful for the fact that, when a good friend of mine called me, I was like, hey, this is what we need to do, and this is why. I remember the phone call very distinctly, and he was like point blank right up front, and I didn't take it well, right? I was like, I didn't say anything to him, right? I was like, fuck you, but internally I'm like, this is crazy, And, that was 11 years ago, and there's a lot of miles underneath me, since then. And
turned out it was a gift.
It was an absolute gift. And, one of the things I learned, and I remember I was sitting in my garage on a Pelican case, and I was so depressed and angry and hurt and all of those things. And I'm like, I've got it. My daughter's like one, not even one at the time. This is all I know. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, and I made that decision there where I'm either going to improve myself from this point forward and, prove myself right in the context of, hey, I'm not going to let this completely define me in a negative way and then send me the other direction. I'm basically going to say, I'm going to take this on board as a mountain of not only self, but outside peer critique. I'm going to fucking completely change my trajectory in my life. I'm going to swallow my fucking pride. And more importantly, I came up with this thing. I was like, in order for me to be successful moving forward in my life from this point forward, I have to sacrifice my ego on the altar of my future. And I modified that where it's like sacrifice your ego on the altar of business, but really it's like sacrifice my ego on the altar of my life in the context of if I don't do something, like if I do not change at this point, I'm just going to continue to fucking blame other people for my failures. I'm going to continue to, what I call it is like, I'm going to continue to drink my own piss. And like, you can do that a couple times and that's fucking survival and that'll be fine. You do it more than that and ultimately it's going to shut down your kidneys and you're going to fucking kill yourself. So you have to take your lumps, take them on board. And it took me a long time. It's not like I snapped my fingers.
Oh, sure.
It beat the shit out of me. And, changed my life for the better. And I see that, and I say that only in the context of our friends from the office and a lot of our peer set, they're having a hard time with their transitions right now.
Oh, sure.
We know.
Oh,
right?
sure.
I mean, one of our friends just killed himself last month, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about it last night. And I just got a text from Bugsy this morning. That's what that was about too, is that another guy, right, where I'm sure you know him too.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So I'm just here to tell you guys, if you're listening and you've actually like been in the office or not been in the office, it doesn't matter if you're coming from a transition into, the next phase of your life. Like there's not only light at the end of the tunnel, there's a new life that you can establish for yourself. You can fix what's broken. You can dig yourself out of the fucking hole. And you can actually live a more fulfilling and happy existence.
Amen.
You don't have to identify with your past and say, this is the only thing that will identify me in the future. You don't have to do that. You fucking take it on the chin. And I'm just going to give you guys some, try to give you guys some solid advice. I don't do this, but I'm doing it today because Dagan and I were talking about last night, and I don't fucking tell people how to do run their own lives. But I'm telling you as a guy that has sat in my fucking garage without $1 in my name, with not a job, a loss of my identity, the lowest point probably in my life, you can sacrifice your ego, pick yourself up, throw every fucking ounce of booze out of your life that you've go back to the basics, be your own NCO and go get up fucking early. This isn't a motivational speech, but be your own NCO, drive back in the discipline that we grew up with.
Sure.
Sacrifice your ego, get back to the basics, eliminate every and all negative fucking toxic piece that you've accumulated along the way.
Yep.
Never think of yourself as bigger than the rest of this. And then drive into a new section of your life with the discipline, dedication, the skills, and the wisdom that you picked up along the way, and then pursue it with more discipline, dedication, and every ounce of motivation that you can. Like, you're going through the toughest selection you've ever been in.
Yeah, put your own selection. Yep.
Put on your own fucking selection, man. But don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, it sounds cliche, and I'm not a motivational speaker, but it's like, I'm here to tell you, man, I am not the guy that is like, running 1,000 miles and like, that's not my shtick. I'm just a guy that's been there, and I've been there at a low point. I'm telling you right now, I'm happier, more fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
I have a great set of peers. I have a great set of friends. I love my wife, love my family. And I'm in a better spot today, like emotionally, psychologically, and professionally than I was back then.
Oh, yeah.
And
yes.
It's not because I'm better, just because I decided to make some very prominent changes in my life to put myself into this next position, which is to separate or, transition out of military service and live a happy and fulfilling life. That's what I tried to do. And don't take that other road. That other road is, if you quit, you're a quitter.
Yeah, you can't do it.
No.
Yeah, you can't do it. And the guys, and I deal with this. I've dealt with it. Right, that identity. Having those conversations with the guys, and I left obviously willingly.
Yeah.
I left willingly, and believe it or not, our conversations in the past, they echoed. You know what I mean? You had said, you're like, I just decided I'm going to turn the page. I'm going to turn the page, and I'm not never going to think about it ever again. Like, that's a strong statement, but that was then. This is now. And if it doesn't have to do with now and where I'm going and what I'm trying to accomplish, then I don't have time for it.
Mm-hmm.
The negativity to this and that, and a lot of the guys like. And myself as well, it's almost like you're institutionalized to the point where you cannot conceptualize doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just don't, like, what would that? I don't even want to think about it, because you're so ingrained, like, it is such a part of your identity. And I think for myself, speaking for myself, going down and doing the experimental treatment down in Mexico. That was one of the big catalysts for me to be like, oh, okay, this is just something that I do. Mm-hmm. It's not who I am. And guys of our caliber, so to speak, not to pat ourselves on the back, but capable, of accomplishing just about anything, given the right motivation and then the tools and circumstances, right? As long as we can get out of our own way,
mm-hmm.
To your point. And, trying to preach to the guys, and I'm the same way. Like, I always say, hey, I'm no one's guidebook to anything.
No.
You know what I mean? If you ask me my opinion, I'll give it to you. And the sky is the limit if you get out of your own way,
mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of that is that that attachment to that identity. What my counselor before I went down to Mexico, I always refer to that treatment as Mexico. One of the most important things I've ever done in my life. And if I was in charge, it'd be mandatory.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. And he said, what if you were to die tomorrow, what would it say on your tombstone? And that set me back on my heels. I was like, I never thought of that. And he goes, well, husband, father, the highlight reel, basically.
Right.
Marine, recon, all the T-shirts, And I was like, yeah, of course it would say all that. I would want it to say all that. I would want people to know, And he goes, yeah, but what else could it say? Like, in order for it to say anything new, you have to kind of let go of that other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you've already done that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already have those checks. You already have those T-shirts.
Right.
Like, are you going to go get more? My words, not his. But I was like, and it was super, super epiphanical. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, that's just something that I did. Super proud of it. Very fond memories, building blocks. And like you said, like mm-hmm. the lessons learned and the wisdom and the challenges and the triumphs, like you carry all that with you. But it's that double-edged sword, right? It can be a boat anchor as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it could either be jet fuel or a boat anchor. You have to decide which one it's going to be in whatever that endeavor is, right? And then obviously define success, right? Whether it's monetary or personal or whatever, the guys just have to find new purpose, and I think that purpose should be them. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. You know what I mean? Because especially when you're surrounded by it. I mean, it's very much it's a nice, although albeit toxic sometimes, right? Like you don't realize how toxic it is until you get away from it.
Yeah.
Right? Is that fair?
Oh yeah, man. Because it's a big dramatic sewing circle, and it's so funny because like my wife would listen to all these conversations as like guys would come over to the house, and she's like, "Do you guys like anybody?"
Yeah, you don't seem to be having fun.
You guys don't like anyone. Mm-hmm. You guys are worse than a group of women at the hair salon. Like, what the fuck? Like, because the other thing is everything is binary in the community. The guy's either a dirtbag or he's a good dude. Mm-hmm. There's no guys where you're like, hey, he's all right. When the fuck would you ever hear that? He's all right.
Never.
It's like dirtbag or good dude. Yeah. It's so binary. And it's a small group of people. You have love and hate across the board, and I have quite a bit of distance away from it. And my lessons learned are one, to your point, I was burnt out, completely burnt out. I was burnt out before I knew I was burnt out,
100%.
And that's not an excuse. It's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do the amount of rotations back to back to back to back to back for years and years and years, and then live in that environment without, at least I would say a lot of people, without a significant amount of negative baggage.
Oh yeah.
You can't do it. And then recognizing that, to your point, and that's where I will be very critical to the office, only in the aspects of the things that I know, is that you can't use a group of men the way they do on a cycle and cadence that they do, and just throw them away like they do. Mm-hmm. And that is to me, that is kind of an unforgivable sin, because they don't take care of people. And there's no fucking excuse for it. There really isn't. In my mind, it's there's no excuse for it. It's you have to recognize when people are having problems, and it's their moral obligation to make sure that we fix them and put them back better than the way we found them.
Yeah.
And now that I'm more of way more on a taxpayer side of things than I am even close to inside the walls of anything operational, just from speaking from my own experience, man, I didn't have substance abuse problems or domestic violence problems. I had emotional anger issues for sure. Yeah, for sure. Where, you got to say, hey, maybe you need to take a break, dude. Mm-hmm. Before you fucking burn out, and then you do end up doing something fucking stupid, or you blow yourself up. Yeah. And I've seen it, and you've seen it. Guys just they are back to back to back, and they're working themselves into the fucking ground, and then they're doing everything and anything they can, because they ultimately have to pay their bills too. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as they can't, because something's wrong, they're fucking done.
Yeah, I had that.
You did?
Oh God, yeah. When they, I don't even know if you remember this when they came down and said there was, I don't know if it was no visas, or they want, there was. Remember that? Were you still around? Yeah, of course you were. I was home, and I got that email or that phone call, and there was an audible pop in my brain, hey, you might not get to work for the next 6 to 9 months. I was like. If I've had a nervous breakdown, that was it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was I am so fucked. You know what I mean? And was immediately trying to find other meaning, I tried to go drive the bus. I applied to be a bus driver, and they were like, nope. And literally, they're like, no chance. And I was like, oh, I can't even drive the fucking school bus. It's a true story. I was like, you know what I mean? It was, so I understand, I went through it. I was like, man, if I don't, and then of course it didn't end up being 9 months. It ended up only being 2 or 3.
Right.
But what an ugly side of myself that I didn't realize was kind of there, and one phone call, one email, and this entire, house of cards that is me comes crumbling down, this is, okay, we got to fix this. This can't be like this. I can't be like this,
Well, it's that the contingency planning, right? It's like the, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency, the PACE plan of life. And there's and that's the other thing. It's guys are not running those in certain circumstances, whereas they should. And I also think that if you're going to keep your horses and horses on the track, it's the obligation. It's the obligation of the company ultimately, or whomever, right? And this could be any and all of us could be hey, you really do have to make sure that there's a pipeline for exit.
Sure.
That just doesn't leave people completely fucked. And
yeah, because it's bye.
It's
see you later.
See you later. And we need you to go out and do a whole bunch of random crazy shit, and then as soon as you can, then you're done. And those are pretty high stakes for anyone, and for anyone, right? For anyone in any job, it's well, shit, you're done. And when you look at that, and you look at, and it's no wonder as to the guys that we know, because as they start to get a little bit older, and their body isn't necessarily working the same way that it was working 20 years ago.
Yep.
And I've seen this story too many times now, where of course we're aging up. Mm-hmm. It's the inevitability of time. It marches on, and their identity is completely and 100% attached to either the military unit they're in or the agency unit or whatever it is. And it could be any profession. And then you no longer have the ability to associate yourself with that identity. You have the long-term negative physical effects of being in a very physical job for an extended period of time. You have the emotional and psychological baggage with being in a violent profession for an extended period of time. So whether that's TBI or whether it's a litany of different issues, you also have those things, and then you accelerate those things with alcohol, and then ultimately an end of a profession. And then where are you left?
Yeah. Your body's broken. Your mind is damaged. And like I said, the toxicity, and once again, I'll kind of speak for myself. Where when I left, and it took a while. It took a little bit of an adjustment period. It was just last February, and then getting involved in some other positive ventures.
Yeah,
right? Where you don't realize that. I always say, hey, don't ever forget you're the bad guy in somebody else's story, right? And right, and that's badass. We want to do the kick the ass of the bad guy, but at the end of the day, that's still. It needs to happen, and it must happen. It's a necessary evil. But when you take yourself out of that, you realize, man, when was the last time I did anything that was positive in every sense of the word?
Right.
Not hey, you went and killed the bad guys, high fives, let me buy you beers. Okay, cool, I get it. Thank you very much. But truly did something that was positive, and there's no negative to it. Mm-hmm. And after years and years and years of doing that, I think guys lose the ability to have that feeling. You know what I mean? To realize what it is to actually do something positive, whether it's for someone else or for yourself. You know what I mean? They actually lose they lose the ability to feel that joy and that fulfillment and that contentment of doing something that's truly good in all aspects. You know, not just, hey, go kick the bad guy's ass, right? Because at the end of the day, we're everybody else's bad guy. You know, it's just same team. It's our team, right? Does that make sense? You know, and so that was one of the biggest things. You know, stepping away from it, and I got a chance to go out and work with an organization called 22 Jumps, where they take the veteran, right? If you're familiar, and man, what a transformative experience, even for me, just kind of being out there watching on the sidelines. Like, okay, this is something that's truly good in every sense of the word. You know, not just accomplishing a mission for, you know, because the 7th floor told me to, or because SecDef told me to, or whatever, right? Like, you know, we've checked those boxes. And so, you know, finding that new purpose and having it be a worthwhile purpose, I think, is important. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think the other piece that I've realized is that I'm a team guy. I am a team guy to my core, of course. I can't function as a unilateral operator. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it in the context of being kind of and I'm not a rudderless ship by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that if you have, you know, a litany of rowers in the boat with you, it makes a huge difference. And then being selective with the people that you actually allow inside the boat, inside your life. And because we have the ability now where we can determine who's on our team. Whereas before it was the USG or it was their boss or whoever it was like, they're determining. And now we can be the artisans of our own team. We can do selection for who's in our life. We can do, you know, we can make the cut. So all of those things now, they're within our power. And that gives me it gives me fuel. Sure. And I talk about this with my wife all the time, where I'm like, I need guys around all the time where we're solving complex problems in a team. So, you know, Matt, Logan, myself, Jared, like I talk to these dudes every day. We were in the office yesterday, like talking about, we were like in the office for 3 hours, like just talking about the types of branding moments that we're trying to create with the company. And that is such a meaningful experience with a group of people that are also trying to solve the same problem with you. And it's way different. It's less fulfilling. It's less meaningful. It doesn't give me the same type of an emotional hit or joy if I'm doing it by myself. It doesn't. It's like, no, man, like, you know, you think about it, right? It's like, the Amish do those community barn buildings, right? And not that that's the you know, the template for success here, but that's a community of people that are building something together for the betterment of one specific family, but ultimately it's a party, right? It's like they do the work, they put it all in, and then they celebrate together. And that's kind of the entire model that I've tried to create here, where it was like, go from a house that I love into a business that I love, go back, just, and then create a flywheel effect between the home where I'm loved and appreciated and respected, into the business where I'm loved, appreciated, and respected. You just go back and forth. And it creates a flywheel effect. It's a positive inertia in your life in the direction that you want to go. But you need those people to generate the energy in the direction where you're trying to propel yourself. And if you just try to go it alone, it's way harder. It is fucking way harder, man. Like, I've tried, you know, like I've like tried to do it, and I don't like it.
I don't want to say unsustainable, but it's pretty difficult. Difficult.
So like finding good partners, finding good people in your life that you love and respect, and you can plug in and provide value. Like 22 Jumps That's a great example because that's selfless act in something cool, and people go, well, that's just skydiving, because I've heard that one too, right? This is skydiving. Like, it's not, man. It means so much to people. It's like, it's one of the reasons we went chips in on skydiving, and like all of these different things when you go chips in on, like, and when I've gone chips in on them, I'm like, archery is one of those things where.
That's another good one, yep.
Like, it's a subculture of people that they're so passionate about their pursuit of this one endeavor. And it's interconnected through not only hunting, but also hitting a target. It's a quiet, it's an active form of meditation.
Yep.
And it immerses the community into something other than maybe the unit that they came from, or the places they had been, or even the GY. It pulls you out of that and puts you into something where you can go down the rabbit hole on this one thing, and it can consume you, and you're never going to master it. You can spend the rest of your fucking life like trying to hit center mass with a group of arrows, and it's, for me, it probably never gets old, and it's always going to be there. And you can hunt, you can go out, and you can share time with your friends, you can do something meaningful and interesting. And it's not just that. It's like, go skydiving and like immerse yourself in that activity, because it's a whole subculture of people that are completely, they are captured by their passion and their commitment to this thing, and it pulls you out and it puts you into someplace completely different.
Yeah, with depending on the activity, in scouting, obviously there's some inherent dangers there, but like very, very few negative second to order effects.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's 99% a positive experience. And yeah, it's and you said it too. Like being able to identify what's toxic and what's toxic traits, toxic tendencies, toxic habits, and or people. Like, and sometimes that can be difficult as well. Like, being able to separate, right? Identify and separate or create distance, from those things. And I think everyone struggles with that, to a certain extent or another. I know I do, but trying to lean heavily into what serves me well, what serves a worthwhile purpose, and then what doesn't. What's toxic, what's going to hurt me, what's not going in the direction, like get rid of the boat anchor, drop that boat anchor, and whatever that boat anchor is. Do whatever you need to do to jettison that thing. And then I think the sky's the limit for the guys.
Yeah, and I've done it for years, man. It's like I create a list of things in my life, and I triage them, where I'm like, I just cut them out. And it's probably one of the most important things that you can do. It's not just getting driving yourself in one specific direction with priorities of effort. It's also eliminating the white noise and just getting rid of it. And it's okay. Like, I mean, for me, we've talked a lot about it internally within the walls. It's not just what you say yes to. It's also just as important to say no and then clean break. And a lot of people have a really hard time, and that takes a significant amount of discipline to do that. And sometimes it's seen as somewhat sociopathic, but it's a necessity to growth.
I have a hard time saying no.
You do?
Yeah, that's one of my, 100%. I have a hard time saying no. I just do. You know what I mean? I'm working on it. You know what I mean? Like, I just, I don't think you ever quite have it. It's a constant fine tuning, right? It's a constant calibration. I don't think you ever necessarily have it whipped all the way. But that is one of the things that I identify. I have a hard time saying no. So that's something that I work on.
Well, I go back to your Mexico endeavor. Why did you do that?
Well, one, the opportunity arose. Basically, I wasn't privy to it.
No,
I wasn't privy to it it was quite some time ago. Very, very early on in the, what is kind of I don't want to say commonplace, but it's, kind of common now. It was definitely underground back then. I had a specific incident when I was in high school driving to school on my first day of my senior year where I had a pretty significant truck accident. And I actually had a near-death experience during that accident. And I kind of kept that to myself. Obviously I told some people, obviously, when I was, growing up, people that I was close with, because it was a pretty big deal, something that I wrestled with from then on. Like, did it happen? Did it not happen? It sure felt like it happened, and what I experienced and where I went. And fast forward years and years later, obviously I'm a huge Rogan fan, and I'm hearing Rogan and some of his guests talk about the substance, DMT, and it really, really perked my ears up, because what him and his guests were saying, I was like, wait a minute. That sounds very, very similar to what I experienced when I was in high school during that truck accident. And so I started reading books, and I started doing open source, research. And, and then all of a sudden Matt calls me up and he says, hey man, like, have you ever heard of DMT? And I kind of pulled the phone away from I was like, maybe, yeah. I said, yes, I have. And, he goes, well, we have a chance to go down. There's this experimental, treatment for veterans. He goes, it's primarily SEALs. I have, they asked me if I wanted to go down and participate. And I said I would only go, or this is Matt talking. He said I would only go if I can take my swim buddy. And I said, let's go right now. And of course there was a process, and we went through the process, and we went down there. And so I guess, why did you go? One, I was very, very curious to see. It was almost to see if it would validate what happened to me in that high school experience, that NDE. And the kind of the second part of that was, I didn't realize how fucked up I was until I came out of it, if that makes sense. I didn't, you don't realize how much you're circling the drain when it's just been years and years and years of, because there's so many distractions, right? And especially in the organization, where the more you produce, or the better despite, they're kind of wringing you out like a wet towel. Yeah. And as long as, so when coming out of it was, that really, really illustrated.
What was it? What'd you do?
Ibogaine and DMT.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Yeah, kind of breezed right past that. Yeah, it was Ibogaine and DMT. And a very, very pivotal experience. Kind of me before and then me after.
Really?
And yes.
That transformative.
Well, 1,000%. I wish I could teleport Jennifer in here right now.
Right.
There's Dagan before, and then there's Dagan after. And they have you set your intentions, right? They have you set your intentions when you're down there. And keep in mind, I had never done anything prior to any of this. Smoked a little weed here and there.
Right.
Like when I went into MEPS and was like, 5 or 6 times, like I was probably churching it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I was one of the rare dudes. I just didn't do that.
Right.
And so when I came home, it was if she was sitting here, she'd tell you. There was and I set my intentions to. I said, hey, I just don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be angry. I just don't. And I want to be a better father. I want to be a better husband. I want to just be a better person. I want people who experience me, who share time and space with, to have a positive experience and not a negative one, right? And in short, I just don't want to be angry. And it was like I said, if I was in charge, it'd be mandatory. There's obviously a ton of integration, that comes with after the fact. It's not an easy button or a quick fix, so to speak. But what it does is it really, really opens your aperture and kind of gives you perspective on how you can do things differently. All the things that we just got done saying, like changing your habits, changing your mindset, your focus, your daily activities. That's very, very easy to say, right? But when you're in the middle of it, you know what I'm saying? When you've been in the middle of it for almost 2 decades, saying it and doing it are two totally different things, And that's what it did for me. Was it really kind of opened up my aperture and almost, gave me a 30 or 60,000 foot optic on, okay, here's the things that serve me, here's the things that don't. And then, like you said, start to triage those things that don't serve me well. They may be habits. They may, I may think that they serve me well.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it gives you that perspective, kind of clean slate, or what I came back and said was clarity of vision. It turned the noise down. It quieted the, just that static, that craziness, right? And for a couple months, what they kind of refer to as the honeymoon phase, where you just are able to kind of sit back and observe, and with a calmness and a contentment that I had not felt in quite some time, and I'm kind of rambling, but it's. Do
you think? Not to cut you up, but do you think? Do you have a hard time talking about it? Like even like in the open forum, do you think that guys judge you and from the community? Do you like have any? Do you have any like residual anxiety around even like discussing it?
No, I really don't. No. In fact, when I came out of it, I was like, man, give me a bull. Give me the world's biggest bullhorn and let me get to the top of the mountain. You know what I mean? And once again, I don't think anybody that has gone through it, and I'm sure guys that have, and maybe yourself, it's not something that you come out of, it's like, I'm going to go to this self-help program for a week and whatever, and you come out of it and, you know what you should do, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm saying that it's an opportunity to go through something that, by the way, it's not going to be pleasant, extremely unpleasant. I always say it was the worst thing I've ever experienced, followed immediately by the best thing I've ever experienced to date. And, you just if you submit yourself to going through it, coming out of it on the back end, I have yet to meet anybody that hasn't benefited greatly from it. I just can't say enough good things about it. I really can't. You know what I mean? And there might be some people that are like, hey, I don't need it. And that's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. I'm not saying that everybody does, but it's definitely becoming more mainstream. I think, obviously.
Was that with vets?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So we do a ton of stuff with those guys. Like we've sponsored them like galas and things like that over the years, and like everybody that we've sponsored, sent down there, partnered with Marcus, like it's 100%. They've all come back with a positive experience, to your point, which is 100% of the guys that have gone down there that I've talked to, and these guys are guys from your background, from, the unit, from SD6, from you name the unit, you name the type of guy. And these are quite literally these are the toughest guys in the nation.
Yep.
And they are coming back going, that was the hardest thing I ever did in my life.
Hands down.
And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Right. I totally agree. I was terrified.
Right.
As scared as I've ever been in my life. I was absolutely quaking. You know what I mean? Like physically shaking. I was so scared. And completely worth it. Completely worth it. Like I said, I just cannot advocate for it enough.
What did you like when you go through that and you come back, and when you think about the things that you're grateful in the context of you received, like what were the things that you can like directly relate and say, absolutely, this is the thing that changed my life for the better, right?
So the calmness and the lack of anxiety, I felt like I would float away.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like I literally felt like I would float away. You could have set me on fire for the first 3 or 4 months, and I would have just been like, "This is great. I love you to death."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it once again going back to that clarity of vision, or being able, realizing that the only thing that I have control of is the way I perceive things. And how I let that affect me. So in a way, it kind of definitely opened me up to like stoicism. And that calmness, like emotion degrades credibility, right? And it's the ability to have that standoff between what's happening and what's going on around me, and that calm, almost like a walking meditation. You know what I mean? Where and knowing that everything is going to be okay, right? Like in the end, because I went to the same place that I went to in high school during that NDE. I went to identical but different, believe it or not. That feeling in that place that you go when you when I say crossover or pop or experience that, it's gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be fine, and you kind of carry that with you, at least for the honeymoon phase of it. And then you spend the rest of your days, unless you do tune-ups or go down and experience it again, or use other, medicines, if you will, to kind of tap back into that. You kind of carry that with you every day and say, like, remember what that felt like. Remember what it showed you. Calm, content, kindness, love, joy, positive things, right? That's what I came away with it with. And for, one of the things, it was like I was seeing my children for the first time, and at the time they were 8 and 11,
right,
or whatever, I'm throwing those numbers out there, but it literally was like I was seeing them for the first time. It really, really turns the noise down, and the volume has, over the years just gets deafening, right? Where you lose that ability to be present, right? And so that's kind of what I came out of it with, is one, affirmation that where you go when you close your eyes for the last time is a pretty cool place. No worries, no issues there. And two, knowing that should give you that calm, be able to allow you to be present in the moment, right? And not let the noise, get to you.
Yeah, it's a very interesting perspective, because I think the noise gets to a lot of guys, right? It does, because I've often equated it to being in a violent profession for an extended period of time, whether or not we were violent or not, we were still surrounded by violence, and that's where we went to work. And you have to build a protective layer, which is basically like a callus.
Yes.
And that protects you from being emotionally volatile in the place of work, where your survival mechanism means that you have to actually just keep your shit together at all points in time. Anger is an acceptable emotional outlet. But if you get too happy in certain circumstances, what happens is the fear of connecting too deeply with someone, the fear of becoming too happy, because you're always looking for or feeling the other shoe is about to drop.
Yeah.
And so there's a barrier between you and any other emotion outside of anger that you have to build over time. And if you don't look to actively strip that away and get closer to these emotions that ultimately provide value in our life, you're going to build this massive barrier, and you'll never be able to emotionally connect with the people that you truly value. And it's difficult, because to your point, that for mine, it's like the callus that you create is almost like the noise that you surround yourself with, and the chaos that it consumes. And a lot of our, emotions and behaviors allows us in that repetition of getting on another, rotation or whatever it might be. It's a preventative mechanism to true connection.
Yeah.
Which protects us, right?
Yeah,
it's
without a doubt.
Protects you. And I can recognize it, especially in a lot of dudes that I know. I'm like, well, when was the last time that you, it's so funny, because it's, you think about when was the last time you shared something deeply with your significant other, outside of a glass of wine and a nice dinner. That's not what I'm referencing, right? It's like, no, how do you really like know that you can like, they're equally yoked in this partnership that we're calling life.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard, man. Like, I get it. Like, I respect the hell out of guys that go and do that because I think they're making a big step forward and changing their life in a positive way. To your point, I think that we have to like, if things like this were mandatory in a transition, I think there are things that like that just from what I know, it's you're transitioning your life back into a civilian, whatever it might be, and you're like, go get your blood work.
Yep.
Like go get every fucking panel screening you can. Go get a cancer screening, get your blood work done, like understand exactly what's happened, like get screened for everything possible that you can, and then partner with a physician that's like just going to go to work and go, your, magnesium and vitamin D and all of that shit is like rank and file. You have a plan to attack, like just getting that stuff, like get on a program, right? Mm-hmm. And then after you've done that, and enduring, you can run parallel process. Like, okay, we have to start fixing your emotional state and ripping back this callus that you've created as a survival mechanism, which will take like months now, months if not years, or maybe the rest of your life. Who knows? But we don't do that, right? So we just kind of like throw pharmaceuticals at people and tell them like, hey, get on the train. Here's your medical retirement. Here's your bag full of drugs. Go forth and be sedated.
Yeah.
Like that should be the mantra, right? Versus like, go the opposite direction. Like go forth and actually like feel. Like,
even though it's going to suck. It's going to suck at
fucking
first.
Suck.
It's going to really suck at first. It's going to really suck, but God, is it worth it? It's so worth it. It really is. Yeah, it's. I mean, when I went through the VA, you want anything? No, I don't want anything. It showed up in the mail anyways.
Did it really?
100%. Box of the shit. I opened the box, right in the trash. You know what I mean? And I'm not shitting on anybody that needs it or wants it or whatever. But to your point, like, there are other ways, right? And as those other ways become more mainstream, I think it's important, like, on platforms like this that we're talking about it. And, you said, do you have – I don't have any problems talking about it at all. Mm-hmm. And, in fact, even when I was still with the organization, I knew without a doubt that it was – I was going at my own peril.
Yeah, for sure. You might get fired for it.
I might get fired.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I still went, and as soon as I got done and came back, I was like, you can fire me. I don't care.
Right.
Like, that's how important, that's how impactful and how important this is. Mm-hmm. And of course, jokingly, I was looking for a job when I found this one. You know what I mean? But, I can't recommend it enough. If guys and gals are even thinking about it, if you're thinking about it, there's a reason, and it's definitely something that people should look into.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a point of distinction here too, which is what we're talking about is like medicine in a pathway to health, not like just gratuitous recreational use for fun. Because like there are things that you do that are directly related to your health and benefit. There's also things that you could do that would just accelerate a negative outcome. And so what we're directly referencing is the benefits to a medical treatment with the proper use of a medicine that is thousands of years old.
Right. Right.
And I'm just pointing out, I think from the VA's perspective, which I do think that there are a lot of people in the VA like really trying to do the right thing. It's a very big problem. It's a very complex problem, and it's very difficult to solve this problem at scale. Sure. It's extremely difficult to solve this problem at scale. And once again, it's like giving people a little bit of grace in the way that they're trying to accomplish their mission and, to heal the veteran community. A lot of these people are doing the absolute best that they can, and they work tirelessly for the community inside the VA. To label the entire VA establishment as just defunct and broken, that's just not accurate. Like it is not an accurate portrayal. It takes away from really hardworking, dedicated, principled people that are trying to fix veteran health issues, and they don't have all of the tools available to them because I would say most of this is a legislative issue.
1,000%.
It's a fucking legislative issue. So if there's
They're coming around.
I think they are. And I think a lot of the organizations out there, like vets, they're changing the perception. They're taking away the stigma, because there's also the stigma of any form of psychedelics as you would use them, and any form would be associated with just habitual recreational drug use, which it's not what we're fucking talking about at all. And if you think that, then you're way off mark. I think when you have a small and powerful group of people especially from people that have been exposed to combat on an extended period of time over the last several decades, you do have to think outside of the box, because as you're looking at an unconventional warfare unit, you also have to use unconventional solutions to fix them. And it's not a one size fits all. It's not fucking, if everybody got a size 10 shoe, how uncomfortable would a huge percentage of the population be? And I think to think outside of the box, to push what we know are known limits of treatment, to go out and seek help. Like it's a two-part system, which is we have to shift people's minds, we have to change legislation, and then we ultimately have to lead an entire organization, which is the VA, which is, by the way, billions, if not like probably a trillion apparatus, which is fucking huge. You can't just turn that ocean liner on a dime. Like that takes years of chipping away at the entire culture, at legislation, at different administrations. Like this is not an easy problem. It's not going to change overnight. And one thing that won't change it is just saying the entire organization needs to be shut down, dismantled, and shit away. That devalues, I think, I think the lion's share of medical professionals inside the system are like working really fucking hard. Like I talked to this buddy of mine. He goes by veteran biker. He works inside the VA in Arkansas, and like he is a great proponent of just working inside the system, doing the right thing, getting the right people involved, and like he has definitively shifted the way that I think about this, because he works inside the system and he fucking really cares. Like that guy is not like, he's not cutting corners, bro. He's not like showing up for a 9 to 5 to collect a paycheck and saying, fuck it. No, dude, he's rolling up his sleeves. He's trying to make a difference. He's like, he's in it every day. And there are a huge percentage of people out there like him. And I think that it just needs to change. And I think those incremental changes are continuing to come. I do. I think they are. They're not going to. We're not going to snap our fingers. Like this isn't like rub the bottle, the genie comes out, you get 3 wishes, and it's all fucking done. Like that's not the way it works.
Yeah, and to double down on that, my VA experience was positive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like I didn't have a negative VA experience. Now I was lucky enough to where I didn't need an extensive amount of care. Knock on wood, fortunate. So, yeah, I'm not shitting on the VA whatsoever, right?
I think it's in vogue for guys to do it. Right? But I also think it's just a blanket statement to get an applause, right? It's like, hey, who all here's from Arkansas? Okay, dude. No, exactly. Dude, like, yeah, everybody loves it because it's an easy target. It's a big bureaucratic system and everybody kind of just, they don't like waiting in lines, but it's not actually substantive in the solution. Right?
Yeah, and I think it's all going in the right direction. Like you said, it's going to take time. I hit Marcus up directly, and obviously he doesn't know me from a jar of Vicks, but I was like, hey, man, save my life.
Yeah.
Hands down. You know what I mean? Like, save my life. Period. End of story. I appreciate what it is that you're doing and everyone that's involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you see like other multiple organizations kind of going in the same direction, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you watch the documentary they put
I
out?
haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I want to though.
Yeah.
Good. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's great. I think we should put a link. We'll put a link to it in the description. But the guys from GBRS, like they're in it, right? So like they're prominently in the entire thing. I think it's a great video. It's a great documentary. There we go. It's a great documentary about the process, and I really think that the generation of warfighters, the difference it will make is like, well, one, it's unmeasurable associated with every parallel path that we're actually endeavoring, but this one could be a big one because I think that we're incrementally changing the way people think about this, and it could help society in general. Once again, I haven't done it, and it's not me saying I haven't because I've just seen how many people it's affected in a positive way directly in and around my life, and I'm like, man, it's a fucking great program. I mean, I know plenty of guys that have done it.
Yeah,
like fucking life changing. And
it's so good to. And it's almost like you can almost sniff each other out. If someone's not very open about doing it, you'll just hear something that they'll say a certain thing. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of cockeyed, and you're like, "Hey, man, did you?" And then it opens up. You know what I mean? It's almost like you can sniff each other out. You know what I mean? And especially when you see that that major transformation in their everyday, how they go about things, their general disposition, so on and so forth. Like, man, that guy used to be shoulders up to his ears and kicking rocks and pissed at the planet and the whole 9 yards, and then all of a sudden he's not. Good chance. Good chance he might have. Good chance. Yeah. Yeah. DJ's like been a very vocal and outspoken guy associated with all this, and like, man, it's really, I think it's really good to see, because you also get to see like these really, to your point, like these guys that look like they should be playing NFL line and riding for the Hells Angels, talk about, embracing, a more emotionally fulfilling side of themselves and like sacrificing their ego and all these are fucking incredible things that are directly, I think, attributable to leaving their past. Yes. Trauma behind, shedding their skin and evolving into the next phase in a very successful and dignified way. Right. And, which is what I want for the entire peer group of people. Like there's another great organization here. Actually, the guy that runs it, Jason Van Camp, is Warrior Rising, which is a veteran entrepreneur funding. Well, it's entrepreneurial. It's part funding. It's a great organization. So they're like trying to help veterans start businesses, build entrepreneurs. And I'm a firm believer in it. I mean, we support lots of different organizations, not just a stump for us. Like, no, man, we support lots of organizations, but we support the things that we actually believe are going to help guys, right? So that's Warrior Rising, the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, where we're helping, educate the kids of our fallen, brothers and sisters in combat. Like, these are all the things that we try to do. But I was bringing that up only in the context of like, okay, so you transition, you're going chips in on Nomadic Research, and like the difficulties associated with starting a business are like kind of infinite, right? Yeah. What are what report back? Report back. Tell me how that's going. It's going well. It's going well, and it obviously not without daily challenges. Right? Like if there was a 2 + 2 = 4 answer, it'd be easy. Like we don't deal in tactical absolutes, and there's definitely there's no 2 + 2 = 4 answer, and there's challenges every day. There's success every day. We're striving to push a quality product or quality products to to our customer base and ever expand that sphere of influence, and things like this help obviously coming on the program, and it's rewarding in like the harshest way, right? Like it's something that you have to work that hard for, right? Is you covered it that much more, right? Is that fair to say? You know, so yeah, Matt and I, we just we hit it hard every day, and we'll continue to hit it hard every day. And you know, you take it on the chin every now and again, and you just keep pushing forward. And overall, it's been very, very rewarding.
Like everybody has their setbacks, everybody, right? So like what setbacks have you had so far?
COVID,
yeah.
That sucked. You know, I think that kind of probably sucked for everybody, right? You know, I would say COVID was kind of our, you know, because we were fairly new when COVID hit. So that was a big one. Other than that, setbacks, you know, we definitely have a strong customer base, a very loyal and strong customer base. You know, working through the social media aspects, you know what I mean? Starting the podcast, you know, it's, you know, it's trial and error with a lot of things, right? I mean, you can attest, you know what I mean? Finding what works, what doesn't, you know what I mean? And not being afraid to try new things, you know, but the main thing that we obviously strive to do is that attention to detail and the level of quality in the products is first and foremost. Everything else is growth, right? And you can't force it, right? You know, we just lean into expanding our presence, but first and foremost having that attention to detail and having a quality product. We've got rave reviews across the board thus far, you know what I mean? So we're happy with that. And so far, so good. We're just trying to grow, you know? We're just trying to grow as steady and maintain that quality as humanly possible.
Right. So successes, like big successes in the last few years that you can like discuss, because like setbacks and successes, right? It's like the pros and cons of business. So.
Well, I'd say some of the successes are, you know, getting the TTL bag, getting some of the products across the finish line. Like I carried that TTL bag as a prototype for probably 2.5 years,
right?
Like working it through the paces. And Matt and I went back and forth quite a bit on whether or not to even produce it, you know. And once we produced it, like rave reviews with that, you know, with the TTL executive travel bag. The jacket, the layering system, the Alpine hoodie and Alpha shell, rave reviews on that. Anybody that's got one is reporting back all thumbs up, right?
Right.
And especially in a community and a customer base that's not prone to compliments, right? So, you know, it's like, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're going to go, you know, is there an okay dude? He's either a good dude or a bad dude. And it's like, there's a good dude, but like, what's the but? You know, and if you get it where there's no but, then, you know what I mean? Like, and so far that's kind of what we experienced. Like, hey, it's quality, it's badass, but, and we haven't heard a but yet.
You haven't heard the but yet.
And I haven't heard a but yet. At least not a but that's realistic.
Right.
You know what I mean? I ran my mouth early on another podcast where I, you know, kind of went off script, so to speak, and was like, you know, try and break it. Well, the internet answered.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, the getting the studio space and launching the podcast was obviously a huge success. I started that equipment for quite some time. You know, trying to figure out, you know, how we were going to do it, where we were going to do it, and the studio space in Dixon is gorgeous. You know, we're very, very proud of it. Hopefully, you get, you know, I'd like to have you in there.
Yeah, I'll
someday.
come out. That's easy.
But yeah, man, we're things are going well, right? Things are going well, and we're just going to continue to push forward and you know turn it into what we want to turn it into, you know. And like I said, so far so good.
Well, stump it. Where do you go? Where do you go to buy it?
Yeah, so nomadicresearch.com, obviously, and the Nomadic Research. We're on all the platforms. We're on all the social media platforms. Yeah, it's you know, YouTube. Obviously, the YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button, right? The podcast has the IG page. Just started that a week or so ago. So
cool.
Yeah, we're trying to do all of it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dagan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, bud.